My son-in-law told me my dog was dead. He showed up at my house with a bandaged hand and an urn, said the dog had attacked him, that he'd had no choice, that it was for my own safety. I believed him. What else could I do? 3 days later, I woke up at 2 in the morning and saw something moving in my backyard. Something big. It was the dog, alive, digging frantically in the memorial garden my son-in-law had built for my late husband. The same spot he'd been obsessed with for weeks. The same spot my son-in-law had nearly lost his mind trying to stop him from digging. I went outside. The dog looked at me once, then kept digging, like his life depended on it. So I got on my knees and helped him. When we hit metal, when I opened that box, I understood why my son-in-law had lied, why my husband had given me this specific dog before he died, why my daughter had been pulling away from me, and why I had one night to decide what to do about it. My name is Diane, and this is my story. Before we continue, please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, and subscribe to Never Too Old channel. We're creating a community of people who know that our best chapters can happen at any age. Now, back to the story. The day I buried my husband, I had no idea my life was about to become something I wouldn't recognize. His name was James. We'd been married for 40 years. We met in law school, got married the summer after we passed the bar, built a practice together in Richmond. 2 lawyers who thought they could change the world, or at least their corner of it. Cancer took him. Pancreatic. The kind that moves fast once it starts. He had a year from diagnosis to the end, toward the finish. We brought in hospice care. I wanted him home. He wanted to be home. So that's where he died. In our bedroom on Maple Avenue, with me holding his hand. The funeral was on a Tuesday. I remember standing at the door of St. John's Episcopal, greeting people I'd known for decades, partners from the firm, clients, neighbors. Everyone looked at me with those sad, careful eyes. The ones that say they don't know what to say, so they'll just squeeze your hand and murmur something about how sorry they are. Lauren showed up late. My daughter. She's 38 now, though I still see her as the little girl who used to sit in my office coloring while I prepped cases. She slipped into a back pew just as the service started. I saw her from the front row. Thin, too thin, wearing a black dress with long sleeves despite the June heat. Derek sat next to her. Her husband. 5 years married now. He had his hand on her knee, that protective husband gesture, but something about it looked wrong. Tight, controlling. I tried to catch Lauren's eye during the service, but she kept her head down. Derek kept glancing at his phone. The service was short. James had been specific about that in his planning. No long eulogies, no drawn-out ceremony, just a few words, some music he liked, and let people get on with their lives. That was James. Practical even in death. Afterward, people gathered in the parish hall. Someone had made those little sandwiches. There was coffee that tasted like it had been sitting too long. I stood near the door because I didn't know what else to do. That's when Walt found me. Walter Morrison. Everyone calls him Walt. He and James had been friends since high school. Walt became a cop while James went to law school. Spent decades with the Richmond Police Department before retiring a few years back, about the same time we did. He's a big man, the kind who looks like he could still handle himself even now in his late 60s. He pulled me aside, away from the crowd. "Diane," he said. His voice was quiet. "I need to talk to you, somewhere private." We went outside to the parking lot. The June sun was brutal after the air conditioning inside. I could feel sweat starting at the back of my neck. "James asked me to do something for him," Walt said. "Before he died, asked me to make sure you got something." I looked at him, confused. He walked me over to his truck, a blue Ford F-150 that had seen better days. He opened the back door. There was a dog inside. A German Shepherd, big, maybe 90 pounds. He was sitting calmly on the back seat, watching us with dark, intelligent eyes. "This is Bear," Walt said. "James wanted you to have him." I stared at the dog, then at Walt. "A dog? James got me a dog?" "He wanted you to have a companion," Walt said. "Someone to keep you company, someone to protect you." The dog Bear tilted his head slightly, still calm, still watching. "Walt, I don't know if I can handle a dog right now. I'm barely handling myself." "He's special," Walt said. "Well-trained, easy to manage." James was very specific about this. He wanted you to have Bear. I looked at the dog again. He was beautiful. I had to admit, that classic German Shepherd look. But so big. Please, Walt said. Trust James on this. Trust me. I was too tired to argue, too grief-struck to think clearly, so I nodded. Okay. Walt's face relaxed. He opened the door wider and Bear climbed out carefully, gracefully. Walt handed me a leash. I've got food and supplies in the truck, he said. I'll follow you home, help you get him settled. We drove back to the house in separate vehicles. Bear sat in my passenger seat, looking out the window like he'd done this 100 times. Maybe he had. I didn't know anything about this dog or where James had gotten him. At home, Walt brought in a bag of dog food, 2 bowls, a bed. He showed me how much to feed Bear, where he liked to sleep, how to give basic commands. He's good, Walt said. Listens well. Just treat him kindly and he'll take care of you. Where did James even find him? I asked. I helped him, Walt said. Found a good dog who needed a home. James met him a few times before he got too sick. He liked Bear. Thought you two would be good for each other. Walt left after about an hour. I stood in the living room with this huge dog I'd just inherited. Bear sat down and looked up at me. I guess it's you and me now, I said. His tail moved slightly, not a full wag, just acknowledgement. The next day, Derek showed up. I was in the kitchen trying to figure out what to eat. I hadn't had an appetite in weeks. The doorbell rang and there he was, standing on my porch with a bag of groceries. Hey Mom, he said. He's called me that since he married Lauren. I never liked it but I never said anything. Thought you might need some supplies. Thank you, Derek. That's kind. He came inside, set the groceries on the counter. That's when he saw Bear, who was lying in the living room near the couch. Derek stopped. That's a big dog, he said. His voice changed, went tight. His name is Bear. James arranged for me to have him. Arranged? Derek's eyes stayed on the dog. When? Before he died. Walt brought him yesterday. That seems like a lot for you to handle, Derek said. A dog that size, at your age, you sure you can manage him? My back went straight. I'm 67, Derek, not 90. I can handle a dog. I'm just saying, it's a lot of work. Feeding, walking, vet bills. If you need help, I'm happy to help. Or we could find him another. Bear had gotten up and walked over. He stood next to me, looking at Derek. James wanted me to have him, I said, so I'm keeping him. Derek nodded slowly. Okay, sure. Seems to be. Good. Bear stood next to me at the window, watching too. You don't like him much, do you? I said. Bear's ears went back slightly. That evening, my phone rang. Lauren. Hi, Mom. Hi, honey. How are you? I'm okay. Just wanted to check on you. Her voice sounded hollow, like she was reading from a script. I'm managing, I said. Derek brought groceries today. That was nice of him. He told me. A pause. He said you got a dog. Yes, Bear. James arranged it before he died. Walt brought him to me. A German Shepherd? Yes. Another pause. Longer this time. Is he safe? Those dogs can be unpredictable. He seems very calm. Well trained. I just worry about you, Lauren said. Living alone with a big dog. What if something happens? Lauren, I'm fine. Bear is fine. Everything's fine. Okay. She didn't sound convinced. I should go. Derek's home. Do you want to come over this weekend? We could have lunch. Maybe. I'll have to see what Derek has planned. I'll call you. She hung up before I could say anything else. I sat there holding the phone, feeling that familiar knot in my stomach, the one I'd been feeling about Lauren for the past few years. Something was wrong. I just didn't know what. Bear came over and put his head on my knee. You're a good boy, I said, scratching behind his ears. I don't know why James thought I needed you, but I'm glad you're here. Later that night, I sat in James's study. His desk was still covered with papers, files he'd been working on before he got too sick. I hadn't had the heart to clean it out yet. I picked up the photo we kept on his desk, the two of us on our wedding day, young and stupid, and so sure we had everything figured out. What were you thinking? I said to the photo. Why did you give me a dog? I didn't have an answer yet. A couple weeks later, Derek showed up with plans. I was in the backyard with Bear when his truck pulled in. He came around the side of the house carrying a roll of paper. "Hey Mom, got a minute?" He spread the drawings on the patio table. Raised beds with cedar borders, a stone path, a bench, spaces marked for James's favorite roses. "I want to build you a memorial garden," he said, "for Dad. He was good to me." It was beautiful, thoughtful. "Thank you, Derek. That would be wonderful. I'll start next week. Won't cost you anything." He began the following Monday. Arrived early with cedar planks, soil, stone pavers. He worked alone mostly, though sometimes another guy showed up to help. Derek never introduced him. He dug deep, said it was for drainage. The holes went down past my knees. Bear watched from the back door, always watching. "Can you keep the dog inside?" Derek asked on the second day. "He makes me nervous." So I kept Bear in the house when Derek worked, but the dog would sit at the window, eyes tracking Derek's every movement. Lauren came by during the third week. I'd invited her for lunch. She arrived wearing a long-sleeved blouse. It was 85 degrees outside. Derek was in the backyard building the raised beds. Lauren went out to say hello. I watched from the kitchen. He put his arm around her shoulders. She went stiff. His hand gripped tight enough that she winced. When they came inside, Lauren's smile looked forced. "The garden looks amazing," she said. Her phone buzzed. She checked it immediately. "Are you okay, honey?" "I'm fine." She wrapped her arms around herself. "Just busy with work." "Those long sleeves. Aren't you hot?" "I'm always cold. You know that." I didn't know that, but I didn't push. We ate sandwiches. She kept checking her phone. Derek came in for water and put his hand on her neck. She jumped. "Easy, babe. Just me." After he went back outside, I tried again. "Lauren, if something's wrong, you can tell me." Her voice went sharp. "Nothing's wrong. Why does everyone keep asking me that?" She left soon after. I watched Derek walk her to her car, his hand possessive on her lower back. The garden was finished 3 weeks after he started. It was beautiful. The raised beds were perfect. The stone path looked professional. A brass plaque on the bench read, "In memory of James Morrison, beloved husband and father." Derek took photos with his phone, smiling next to the garden. "I'll come by regularly," he said. "Water the plants, pull weeds. You shouldn't have to maintain it." After he left, I stood in the garden with Bear. The dog sniffed around the new raised beds. His nose worked the air near the far corner. Then he started pawing at the soil. "Bear, no." He looked at me, then dug again. I grabbed his collar and pulled him away. It became a pattern. Bear would go straight to that corner and dig, or he'd sit and stare at the ground for 20 minutes at a time. Derek noticed on one of his visits, "What is he doing?" "I don't know. He's fixated on that spot." "Make him stop." "I'm trying." Derek's face changed. "That dog is too much for you. You should rehome him." My back stiffened. James wanted me to have him. James didn't know the dog would destroy his memorial. "He's not destroying anything. Look at it. This is disrespectful." "Derek, I'm not getting rid of Bear." He stared at me, then nodded slowly. "Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you." His visits became more frequent. Every few days, always checking the garden, always watching Bear. The dog's behavior got worse, more focused. He'd dig deeper holes before I could stop him. One morning I found him sitting in front of the raised bed at dawn. Derek showed up unannounced one afternoon. By the time I got outside, he was standing in the garden. Bear had dug a significant hole in the far corner, dirt everywhere, roses tilted. Derek's face had gone white. "This is out of control," he said. His voice shook. "That dog is destroying everything I built. I don't understand why he keeps doing this." "Because he's a bad dog. Destructive. You can't handle him." Derek moved closer. "That dog has to go." "No. Look at what he's doing to Dad's memorial." "I'll fix it. Replant the roses." "That's not the point," he was almost shouting. "You can't control him. You're not capable of managing a dog that size." "Derek." I said no. We stared at each other. His hands clenched into fists. Finally, he turned and walked away. Got in his truck, slammed the door hard. After he left, I stood looking at the hole Bear had dug. It was deep, more than a foot down. Bear sat next to it, not digging, just sitting, staring at me with those dark eyes. "What are you trying to find?" He didn't answer, just kept staring, like he was waiting for me to understand something I couldn't see. A week later, I spent the day at my friend Carol's house in Henrico. Thursday was our standing lunch date, had been for years. We'd talk, have coffee, I'd get home late afternoon. Derek knew my routine. When I pulled into my driveway around 5, his truck was already there. That was strange. He never came on Thursdays. He was sitting on my front porch. When he saw me, he stood up. His face was wrong, pale. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I got out of my car. "Derek? What are you doing here?" "I need to tell you something," he said. "About Bear." I looked past him to the front window. Bear always waited there when I came home. The window was empty. "Where's Bear?" I asked. Derek held up his left hand. It was wrapped in white gauze from palm to wrist, with blood seeping through in spots. "He attacked me," Derek said, "this morning, while you were at Carol's. I came by to water the garden and he just went for me. No warning." My purse slipped from my shoulder. "Bear wouldn't attack anyone. Look at my hand." He bit me. Hard. I had to go to urgent care for stitches. "Where is he? Where's Bear?" Derek finally met my eyes. "I took him to the vet. Right after it happened. I didn't want to upset you while you're still grieving, James. I thought I could handle it myself." "Handle what? What did you do?" The vet examined him. Said a dog that aggressive, that unpredictable, can't be trusted. He could have killed me. He could attack you next. "What did you do?" Derek's jaw tightened. I had him put down. "I had to make a decision for your safety. He was cremated this afternoon." The world tilted. I grabbed the porch railing. "You killed my dog. I protected you from a dangerous animal." The words came out too loud. "You had no right. That was James's dog. His last gift to me. You had no right to make that decision." Derek's face hardened. "He attacked me. Look at my hand. What was I supposed to do? Wait for him to go after you? You should have called me. Let me talk to the vet myself. This was my choice to make, not yours. You're being emotional. You're not thinking clearly. I did what needed to be done." He walked to his truck and pulled a small urn from the passenger seat. Plain metal, maybe 8 inches tall. He came back and held it out. "These are his ashes. I'm sorry it had to happen this way, but it was the right thing to do." I stared at the urn, didn't take it. Derek set it on the porch railing. We stood there in silence. He waited, like he expected me to thank him. When I didn't say anything, he backed toward his truck. "I know you're upset, but in time you'll see I was protecting you." He drove away without looking back. I stood there for a long time. The urn sat on the railing. The afternoon heat pressed down. Sweat ran down my back, but I couldn't move. Finally, I picked up the urn. Inside, I put it on the kitchen counter. Stood looking at it. Bear's water bowl was still on the floor by the sink. His bed was still in the corner of the living room. His leash hung on the hook by the back door. My phone rang. "Lauren." "Mom, Derek told me what happened. I'm so sorry." Her voice sounded wrong, flat, like she was reading words someone else had written. "Derek killed my dog. He was protecting you. The dog attacked him." "Bear would never attack anyone unprovoked. You don't know that. Large dogs can be unpredictable. Derek was trying to help you." "Help me?" "He took James's dog and had him killed without asking me." Lauren's voice rose, got defensive. "Derek was trying to do the right thing. He was protecting you. Why can't you see that?" "I can see that you're defending him no matter what he does." "I'm supporting my husband. That's what wives do." "Lauren, listen to yourself. You sound terrified. What has he done to you?" Silence. Then a door closing in the background. Lauren's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "I have to go." "Lauren, wait. Please talk to me." The line went dead. I tried calling back. It rang 4 times and went to voicemail. I tried again. Same thing. The first night, I didn't sleep. I kept expecting to hear Bear's breathing from the living room, kept listening for his nails on the floor when he shifted positions. The silence felt heavy and wrong. Around midnight, I went outside and sat on the bench in the memorial garden, the one with James's plaque. The garden looked perfect. Derek had been maintaining it well, but the far corner where Bear had been digging looked recently disturbed, with fresh dirt over the holes. "James," I said to the darkness, "I lost you. Now I've lost Bear. I'm losing Lauren. I don't understand what's happening." The night didn't answer. Just crickets and the distant sound of traffic on Broad Street. I sat there until the mosquitoes got too bad, then went back inside and lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The second night was the same. I kept thinking about Derek's face when he saw Bear digging, that white panicked look, the way his hands clenched into fists, how his visits had increased after the dog started focusing on that corner. I thought about Lauren's voice on the phone, the script-like quality, the defensiveness that seemed like fear. I thought about James lying in that hospice bed, insisting that Walt bring me Bear, how specific he'd been about it. Nothing fit together, but there was a pattern somewhere I couldn't see. Around 2 a.m, I got up and wandered through the house, ended up in the kitchen, drinking water I didn't want. Bear's bowl was still on the floor. I'd meant to put it away but couldn't bring myself to do it. I picked it up and held it, and started crying. That's when I heard the sound, from the backyard. Scraping, rhythmic, like something digging. I froze and listened. There it was again. Definitely digging, and it sounded bigger than a raccoon. I went to the back door and looked out the window. At first I couldn't see anything. The yard was dark except for the security light near the garage. Then something moved near the memorial garden, large, 4-legged. I opened the door and stepped onto the patio. The animal was in the far corner of the garden, the spot where Bear had always dug, and it was digging frantically with dirt flying. It stopped and turned its head toward me. My breath stopped. It was Bear, alive, real, standing in my garden covered in dirt. For a second we just stared at each other. Then he wagged his tail once, turned back to the hole, and started digging again. I ran across the yard and dropped to my knees next to him. "Bear, Bear." He looked at me. His eyes were different, exhausted, desperate, but still him, still Bear. I put my hands on him. He was real, warm, breathing. His fur was matted with dirt and something crusty that might have been blood. His paws were raw and bleeding. "Oh my God, you're alive." He licked my hand once, then pulled away and went back to digging. "What are you doing? What's down there?" He dug deeper and faster, like he was running out of time. I got next to him and started pulling dirt away with my hands. We dug together until my fingers hit something hard, metal. I cleared more dirt away and found the corner of something. A box, military green, waterproof. Bear stopped digging, sat back, and looked at me, waiting. I pulled the box free. It was heavy, maybe 7 or 8 pounds. My hands were shaking as I flipped the latches and opened the lid. Inside were packages, vacuum-sealed and professional-looking. 6 of them. White powder was visible through the clear plastic. I didn't know exactly what it was, but drugs. It had to be drugs. Everything clicked into place at once. Derek's garden project, the deep digging, the maintenance visits, Bear's obsessive focus on this exact spot, Derek's panic, his desperate attempts to get rid of the dog, the fake euthanasia. Derek had buried drugs in my backyard, in James's memorial garden. And James had known. Somehow he'd known. That's why he'd given me Bear, a dog who could find what was hidden. I looked at Bear. He was swaying slightly, exhausted beyond measure. His paws were bleeding. His sides were heaving. "You walked back," I whispered. "However far he took you, you walked back to finish this." He leaned against me and I put my arms around him. "We need help. We need Walt." I pulled out my phone and dialed Walt's number. It rang 4 times and I thought it would go to voicemail. Then he answered, voice thick with sleep. "Diane, it's 2:30 in the morning. What's wrong?" "Bear is alive," I said. He came back. "Walt, I found drugs. Derek buried drugs in James's memorial garden." A pause. Then Walt's voice came back sharp and clear. "All sleep gone. Don't touch anything else. I'm on my way. 15 minutes. He hung up. I sat in the dirt with Bear leaning against me, the box of drugs open beside us, waiting for Walt. 15 minutes later, headlights swept across the front of the house. A truck door slammed. Footsteps coming fast around the side of the house. Walt appeared, moving faster than I'd seen him move in years. He was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, no shoes, just slippers. He'd left in a hurry. He stopped when he saw us, me sitting in the dirt covered in mud. Bear beside me, barely able to keep his head up. The metal box opened between us. "Jesus," Walt said. He came over and knelt down next to the box, looked at the packages inside without touching them. His face went hard. "Cocaine," he said. "Professional packaging. This is 2, maybe 3 kilos. Derek buried it here, in the garden he built for James." Walt looked at Bear, really looked at him, ran his hands carefully over the dog's body, checking for injuries. Bear's tail moved weakly. "This dog's been through hell. Look at his paws." "Derek told me he had him euthanized, said Bear attacked him and he had to make a decision for my safety. I thought I had lost Bear forever." Walt kept examining Bear, found scratches on his face and side. "These are defensive wounds. He fought someone off." "Derek showed me a bite wound on his hand, said Bear attacked him in the garden. Bear bit him fighting for his life. Derek tried to kill him, probably took him somewhere remote, but Bear got away." Walt looked at me, and he walked back. From however far Derek took him, this dog found his way home. I put my hand on Bear's head. He leaned into it. "To finish this, to complete his mission." Walt stood up. "We need to go inside. I need to make some calls." We got Bear into the house. He could barely walk. Walt helped me get him settled on his bed with water nearby. Then we sat at the kitchen table. "Why here?" I asked. "Derek has his own house, his business, storage units. Why would he bury drugs in my backyard?" Walt's jaw tightened. "Because we've been watching him, for months. His house, his business properties, his vehicles, everything." "We?" "James came to me about 6 months before he died. Said he'd been watching Derek for a while. The expensive lifestyle, the cash, the evasiveness about his work, the way Lauren had changed. He suspected Derek was involved in something criminal, but he couldn't prove it. He never told me. He didn't want to worry you while he was sick. Didn't want you confronting Derek without proof. So he came to me, asked me to use my contacts at the police department. I passed along what James had observed. They started looking into Derek. The pieces were falling into place. And Derek figured it out. Criminals always do eventually. They notice the same cars, feel the pressure. Derek got paranoid, stopped using his usual locations. He needed somewhere clean to stash product temporarily. Somewhere police had absolutely no reason to investigate. My house. You were perfect from his perspective. Respectable property. Recently widowed homeowner with no criminal record. And he's your son-in-law. He has legitimate access. He can come and go and the neighbors don't think twice. No red flags for us to investigate. I looked at the memorial garden through the kitchen window. He used James, used my grief. The garden was calculated. A beautiful gesture from a caring son-in-law honoring his father-in-law's memory. Who would question him digging in your yard? He could bury whatever he wanted, and it looked like love. How long was he planning to keep it here? Probably not long, just until he thought the surveillance had died down. Then he'd come back, tell you he was maintaining the garden, dig it up. You'd never know it was there. But Bear found it. Walt nodded. Bear is a retired K-9, trained in narcotics detection. Even retired, that training never leaves them. The minute Bear arrived, he could smell what was buried in that garden. That's why he kept digging. He was doing exactly what he was trained to do. James knew. That's why he got me a police dog specifically. James was a smart man. He knew if Derek was what he suspected, eventually Derek would make a move. He made sure you'd have protection and a way to find evidence. Walt pulled his phone out, started making calls. It was 3 a.m, but people answered. Cops don't sleep normal hours. I sat there listening to half the conversation. Derek's name, the address, the amount, the need to catch him in the act. When he hung up, he said, "They're going to move on this, but we have a problem." "What?" "We can't just dig up the drugs and arrest Derek. He'd claim he has no idea how they got there. Could have been anyone who buried them. We need to catch him retrieving them. That's the only way to prove they're his." "So what do? We make him desperate, force his hand, make him come for them right now, before he has time to think." "How?" Walt thought for a minute. You tell him you're having work done. Landscaping company coming Monday morning to dig up the entire garden. Expand it. Add more flower beds. They'll be taking everything out, digging deep, starting fresh. I understood immediately. If he thinks a landscaping crew is going to dig up that corner, he'll have to get the drugs out before they arrive. This weekend, he won't have a choice, and we'll be waiting. The police will be here? Surveillance starting tomorrow night. Unmarked cars, officers hidden. The minute Derek starts digging, they'll let him get the drugs in his hands. Then they move in. I thought about it. About Derek coming here. About police surrounding my house. About Bear, who could barely walk, who'd fought his way back here. Bear can't be here. Derek can't know he's alive. I'll take him with me. Get him to my vet first thing in the morning. He needs medical attention. Fluids, antibiotics, his paws treated. He'll stay with me until this is over. Will he be okay? He's tough. He'll be fine. This dog walked back to finish a mission. That kind of drive doesn't quit easy. We sat in silence for a minute, the reality settling over me. You'll need to act normal, Walt said. Tomorrow night, invite Derek and Lauren to dinner like you usually do. Make it seem routine. That's when you mention the landscaping company. Casual. Excited about expanding the garden. You can't let Derek see that you know anything. I was a trial lawyer for 30 years. I can handle one dinner. This isn't a courtroom. This is your son-in-law. Your daughter will be there. Can you really sit across from them and lie? I thought about James, dying in our bedroom, using his last months to set this up, to protect me, to give me the tools I'd need. I thought about Lauren, my daughter, trapped with a man who'd buried drugs in her father's memorial and tried to kill a dog to cover it up. I thought about Bear, lying in the next room, barely able to move but still breathing. Yes, I said, I can do this. Walt pulled an envelope from his pocket. James gave me this before he died. Made me promise to give it to you if Derek ever showed his true nature. I think we're past that point now. He handed it to me. James's handwriting on the front. For Diane, when she needs to know. My hands shook as I opened it. The letter was short. James's handwriting, shakier than usual. Written in those last weeks. My dearest Diane. If you're reading this, then Derek has done something that revealed what I suspected all along. I'm sorry I couldn't stop this before I ran out of time. I've been watching Derek for the past 2 years. The lifestyle, the cash, the evasiveness about his work. Most of all, the way Lauren changed after she married him. Quieter, more afraid. I suspected he was involved in something criminal, but I couldn't prove it. I shared everything with Walt. He contacted his people at the police department. I hope by now they're investigating. Bear is not just a companion. He's a retired K-9, trained in narcotics detection and protection. If Derek is what I think he is, Bear will find the evidence eventually, and he'll protect you until then. Trust Walt completely. He knows what to do. I hate that I won't be there to protect you myself, but I did everything I could to make sure you'd be safe when Derek finally makes his move. Protect Lauren. She's trapped with him, and she's scared. When this is over, help her get free. I love you. I always have. I always will. I read it twice. Then I put it down on the table and cried. Walt didn't say anything, just sat there while I cried for the husband who'd protected me even after death, for the daughter I'd failed to save, for the dog lying in the next room who'd nearly died completing a mission. When I could talk again, I said. He knew about Lauren. He suspected Derek was hurting her, but she wouldn't admit it, wouldn't leave. James thought if we could get Derek out of the picture, she'd finally be free. And now we can. Now we can. We sat there planning. Walt would take Bear when he left, get him to the vet, keep him at his house until this was over. Police would set up surveillance Saturday night. I'd have dinner with Derek and Lauren Friday evening, plant the seed about the landscaping. Then we'd wait. By the time Walt left, taking Bear carefully in his arms, dawn was breaking. I stood in the doorway watching him load Bear into his truck. The dog looked back at me once before Walt closed the door. I went back inside. The house was too quiet again, but different this time. I cleaned the dirt off myself, changed clothes, made coffee I didn't drink, looked at the memorial garden through the window, the disturbed earth where Bear had dug, the raised beds hiding cocaine underneath. One more day, one more performance, then justice. Later, I picked up my phone and called Lauren. Mom? Is everything okay? I'm sorry to call so early. I just wanted to invite you and Derek to dinner tomorrow night. Friday. I've been wanting to talk to you both about something. A pause. About what? Oh, nothing bad. I'm planning some changes to the garden. Thought you'd want to know. Can you come? Another pause. Let me check with Derek. I'll call you back. I hung up. Sat at the kitchen table with James's letter in front of me. I'm coming for him, I said to the empty house. For me. For Lauren. For you. Lauren called back an hour later. Derek says we can come. What time? 6:30? Okay, see you then. That gave me the whole day to prepare, to practice being someone I wasn't anymore. The grieving widow excited about garden renovations, not the woman who'd spent the night digging up cocaine with a dog who was supposed to be dead. I went through the motions, grocery shopping, cleaning the house, setting the table. My hands shook when I put out the plates. My phone rang. Walt, you ready for tonight? As ready as I'll ever be. You don't have to do this. We can find another way. No, this is the only way that works. I can do this. Police will be in position by 9. Unmarked cars on the street. Officers in the neighbor's backyard will be watching. And Bear? He's better. 8 this morning. Sleeping a lot, but that's normal. He'll be with me tonight. Good, Diane. If Derek suspects anything, if you feel unsafe at all, you get out. You hear me? I hear you. We hung up. I went back to the mirror, practiced my smile. They arrived at 6:30 exactly. I watched from the living room window as Derek's truck pulled into the driveway. Lauren got out first. She was wearing a cardigan over a long-sleeved shirt, even though it was June. Derek came around and put his hand on her back. She went rigid. I opened the door before they could knock, put on my smile. Come in. I hugged Lauren, felt her flinch under my arms. She was thinner than the last time I'd seen her. Her wrists were like bird bones. Hi, Mom. Hi, Derek. I kept my voice warm, neutral. Hey, Mom. Derek looked around. House looks good. You keeping up with everything okay? I'm managing. I led them to the dining room. Dinner's almost ready. Just need to get the chicken out of the oven. Derek walked through the house like he owned it. Looked out the back window at the memorial garden. Garden's holding up well. Roses are doing good. Thanks to you. You did such a beautiful job building it. I saw his shoulders relax slightly. He thought I was still grateful, still clueless. We sat down to eat. Chicken, roasted vegetables, the kind of meal I'd made for family dinners 100 times before. Derek dominated the conversation like always, talking about a big job he'd landed. A renovation project in the West End. Going on about square footage and budgets and timelines. Lauren said almost nothing. Just pushed food around her plate. She'd check her phone every few minutes, typing something quickly, then setting it down. I watched Derek's hand reach over and squeeze her wrist. Not affectionate, controlling. She winced but didn't pull away. How had I missed this for so long? We were halfway through dinner when I brought it up, kept my voice casual, excited. I've been thinking about something, about the garden. Derek's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. What about it? I want to expand it, make it bigger, add more roses, maybe a water feature, really make it spectacular. The garden's fine the way it is. I know, but I want more. James deserves something really special. Derek set his fork down. That would be expensive. I don't care about the cost. I've already hired a landscaping company. They're coming Monday morning. The color drained from Derek's face. Monday? Yes, I'm so excited. They'll tear out everything, dig deep for new drainage, completely renovate the whole area. It'll take a few days, but it'll be worth it. Derek's knuckles went white on his knife. That seems really fast. Maybe you should think about it more. I've been thinking about it for weeks. I called them yesterday, and they had an opening. They start Monday at 8. You should cancel. Why would I cancel? Because it's hasty. You're making a big decision without thinking it through. What if you regret it? Lauren was watching Derek. Her face had gone pale too. I won't regret it, I said. I've already paid the deposit. It's all set. Derek pushed back from the table. I need to use the bathroom. He left the dining room. I heard him go down the hall. The bathroom door closed. Lauren leaned across the table. Her voice came out in a whisper. Why did you do that? Do what? Tell him about Monday, about digging up the garden. I don't understand. Why would that upset him? Lauren's hands were shaking. I don't know. But it did. You saw his face. Lauren, what's going on? What are you afraid of? She pulled back as Derek came back into the room. We should go, he said. I've got an early meeting tomorrow. But you haven't finished dinner. I'm not hungry anymore. Come on, Lauren. Lauren stood up immediately, started gathering her things. Stay, I said. Finish eating. Visit with me. Derek's hand clamped on Lauren's shoulder. She's coming with me. Derek, let her stay if she wants to. His eyes went hard. She's my wife. She comes home with me. Lauren was already moving toward the door. It's fine, Mom. I'm tired anyway. I followed them to the door. Derek was already outside. Lauren turned back for just a second. Mom, She stopped. Looked at Derek waiting by the truck. I have to go. She left before I could say anything else. I watched them drive away. Derek's truck disappearing down the avenue. Stood there until I couldn't see the taillights anymore. Then I went inside and called Walt. He took the bait. He was panicking. Good. We're ready. Get some sleep if you can. Sleep, right. The rest of Friday night dragged. I tried to watch TV but couldn't focus. Tried to read but the words didn't make sense. Finally just sat in the dark living room watching headlights pass by on the street, wondering which ones were police. Saturday was worse. The waiting was killing me. I cleaned things that didn't need cleaning. Organized drawers that were already organized. Made food I didn't eat. Derek's truck drove past my house twice. Once around noon, once around 4. Slow, like he was checking to see if I was home. Walt called in the evening. He's watching your house. Good sign. Means he's planning something. When? Tonight. Or tomorrow night. Probably tonight. He's running out of time. The sun set. I turned off most of the lights in the house. Made it look like I'd gone to bed early. Then I sat in my bedroom in the dark, watching the backyard. 10 o'clock, 11, midnight. Nothing. 1 in the morning. 2. My eyes were getting heavy. I'd been awake for over 40 hours. I kept blinking, trying to stay alert. 2:47. Movement at the end of the street. A vehicle coasting with no lights. It parked 3 houses down. My phone buzzed. Text from Walt. He's here. Stay inside. I watched Derek get out of his truck. He was dressed all in black. He pulled something from the truck bed. A shovel. A flashlight. A large duffel bag. He moved through shadows toward my house. Stayed off the sidewalk. Came through the neighbor's yard and into mine. He went straight to the memorial garden. Didn't hesitate. Knew exactly where he was going. He turned on the flashlight and started digging. Fast, frantic, throwing dirt everywhere. He dug for maybe 10 minutes before he hit the metal box. He pulled it out and opened it. Even from my window I could see his shoulders relax when he saw the packages inside. He loaded them into the duffel bag. One by one, all 6 packages, zipped the bag, hefted it over his shoulder. That's when the lights came on. Floodlights from every direction. The backyard lit up like daytime. Police, drop the bag. Put your hands in the air. Officers came from everywhere. The side yard, the back fence, through the gate. 6 of them at least, all with weapons drawn. Derek froze. The duffel bag slipped from his shoulder to the ground. His hands came up slowly. He looked around, calculating, looking for an exit. Then he ran. Straight for the back fence. He was fast. The officers chased, but he had a head start. He reached the fence and jumped. Got his hands on top. Started pulling himself up. The officers were closing in, but he was almost over. That's when Walt appeared from the side yard. He had something with him. A German shepherd. Bear. Walt shouted something in German and released Bear's leash. Bear took off like a shot. Crossed the yard in seconds. Derek had one leg over the fence when Bear reached him. Bear leaped and caught Derek's other leg in his jaws. Derek screamed, lost his grip, fell backward off the fence hard. Bear was on him immediately. Trained apprehension hold. Locked on Derek's arm, keeping him pinned to the ground. Derek was screaming, "Get him off! Get him off me!" Bear didn't move, didn't release. just held Derek there while officers surrounded them. Walt gave another German command. Bear released but stayed close, growling, ready. Officers grabbed Derek, flipped him over, cuffed his hands behind his back. Derek was still screaming, "That's impossible, you should be gone." He was staring at Bear with pure terror. "Stop resisting." An officer pushed Derek's face into the dirt. Derek kept fighting. "I'll kill you, all of you. That bitch set me up. I'll make Lauren pay for this." "Keep talking," another officer said. "Everything's being recorded." They hauled Derek to his feet. He saw me standing on the back porch. "You set me up, you crazy bitch." I didn't say anything, just watched as they dragged him through the side yard to a police car. He was still screaming when they put him in the back seat. The door slammed. The screaming got muffled but didn't stop. A detective came up onto the porch. Detective Johnson. I'd seen him talking to Walt earlier. "Ma'am, we have everything we need." Derek was caught on camera digging up the cocaine, loading it into his bag, and attempting to flee. This is as solid as cases get. Will it be enough to convict him? Federal drug trafficking charges, assaulting a police officer, possession with intent to distribute. He's looking at 25 years minimum. With his prior record and the amount we found, he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. Walt came up the steps with Bear. The dog was limping, but his tail was wagging. I knelt down. Bear came to me. I put my arms around him. "You did it. You completed your mission." Walt's voice was rough. "I've never seen anything like it." This dog walked back from wherever Derek took him just to finish the job. I was crying. "James sent him. James knew this would happen. Your husband gave you the best protection he could." And Bear delivered. We stood there for a while, watching the police process the scene, taking photos, bagging evidence. Derek's truck was towed away. Officers were everywhere. Detective Johnson came back. "We'll need you to come down to the station tomorrow to give a formal statement. And we'll need to talk to your daughter. She may have information about Derek's activities. She's a victim. He's been hurting her. She needs help, not interrogation. We have specialists who handle domestic violence cases. We'll be gentle. But we do need to talk to her." "When?" "Monday probably. Give her the weekend to process this." The sun was coming up. The memorial garden was torn apart. Police tape everywhere. The place where Derek had buried his drugs was a crater. Walt put his hand on my shoulder. "You should get some rest. You've been up for 2 days." "I need to call Lauren. Tell her before she hears it somewhere else." "You want me to stay?" "No. This needs to be just us. Mother and daughter. It's time for the truth." Walt left with Bear. The police finished up. The street slowly got quiet again. I went inside, sat at the kitchen table, picked up my phone. Lauren's number was right there. I'd called it 1,000 times. I dialed. It rang 4 times. Then her voice, thick with sleep. "Mom? It's 6 in the morning. Lauren, I need you to come over. Right now. It's about Derek." A pause. "What about Derek?" "He's been arrested for drug trafficking. There's a lot you need to know." Silence. Long enough that I thought she'd hung up. Then her voice came back. Small, broken. "I'm coming." She arrived an hour later. The sun was just coming up. Her face was pale, eyes red. She was shaking. I pulled her into my arms. She collapsed against me and sobbed. Walt was still there. He quietly excused himself and left. We sat at the kitchen table. I made coffee neither of us would drink. "Derek was arrested last night," I said, "in the backyard, digging up cocaine he'd buried in the memorial garden." Lauren nodded, not surprised, just tired. "You knew something?" "Not about the drugs specifically, but I knew he was involved in something dangerous. I found out about 6 months after we married. I asked him about it." She stopped, couldn't finish the sentence. "That's when he started hurting you." She pushed up her sleeves, bruises in different stages of healing, lifted her shirt to show more on her ribs. "He said, if I ever left, he'd kill me, and then he'd come after you and Dad, make it look like accidents." I believed him. I was crying, holding her hands. "Why didn't you tell us?" I was terrified and ashamed. I thought I could handle it. I thought if I just did everything right, he'd stop. I showed her James's letter. She read it and broke down again. "Dad knew. He was trying to save us even while he was dying. He got me Bear, a retired police dog. He contacted Walt, got police investigating Derek. He planned all of this. Lauren looked at me. And you caught him. We caught him. All of us. Walt came back later with Bear and paperwork for restraining orders, resources for domestic violence counseling. Lauren saw Bear and started crying again. Derek told us you were dead. He tried, Walt said. Bear fought back and came home. Lauren knelt down. Bear walked to her gently. She put her arms around him. Thank you for protecting my mom. 3 months later, we were at my house waiting for Walt to call with news from the sentencing. Lauren was living with me temporarily, getting back on her feet. The phone rang. Walt's voice, 25 years federal prison, no parole eligibility for 15. I repeated it to Lauren. She cried, but not from sadness. It's really over. It's really over. 6 months after Derek's arrest, the memorial garden was in full bloom. I'd spent the winter tending it myself, removed everything Derek had built and started fresh. James's favorite roses, new perennials, his photo among the flowers. Lauren pulled into the driveway. She had her own apartment now, not far away. We'd started a tradition, coffee together every Saturday morning. She looked healthy, smiling, wearing short sleeves, no new bruises. We sat on the new bench I'd installed. Bear was lying in the sun on the grass, older now, slowing down, but content. I filled out the volunteer application at the animal shelter, Lauren said. I'm there Tuesday and Thursday mornings. We could go together. I'd like that. Walt's truck pulled up. He did this often now, brought donuts and terrible jokes. The three of us would sit together and talk about normal things, weather, Lauren's new job as a bookkeeper, Walt's fishing trips. It felt like family. I keep thinking about Dad, Lauren said, how he knew what was happening, how he planned everything. I touched James's photo sitting among the roses. He loved us, even when he couldn't be here anymore. He found a way to protect us. Walt nodded. James was the smartest man I knew, and Bear carried out the mission perfectly. Bear's tail thumped, hearing his name. After Walt left, Lauren and I worked in the garden together, planting new flowers, pulling weeds. Bear watched from the shade. I never thought I'd feel safe again, Lauren said, and now I do, thanks to your father, and Bear, and you. You survived. We all did. That evening, after Lauren went home, I sat on the bench alone. Bear came and lay down at my feet. The garden was beautiful in the fading light, real, honest, nothing ugly hidden underneath anymore. James once told me that love isn't just what you do when you're present, it's what you build to last when you're gone. He built this. The warning to police, the dog who would find evidence, the friend who kept his promise, protection that reached beyond death. Derek got 25 years. He can't hurt anyone anymore. Lauren is healing. She laughs now. Real laughs. She's building a life that's actually hers. Bear is old, slowing down, but he still watches over us like he knows his job isn't quite finished. And me? I tend my garden. I volunteer at the shelter twice a week. Lauren joins me sometimes. We're healing together while helping animals that need homes. I miss James every day, but I'm not alone. I have my daughter back. I have a hero at my feet. I have a life worth living. And I have love that never died. That's everything. So, that's my story. I'd love to hear what you think. Do you believe dogs can sense when something's wrong before we do? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more stories like mine.